Another factor that catches many seniors off guard is acidity in certain fruits. On the surface, acidity might sound harmless. After all, citrus fruits are rich in vitamin C, which is important for immune function and collagen. But here's the thing, when you regularly consume fruits that are highly acidic, they can aggravate joint tissues and contribute to inflammation, which directly impacts how strong and stable your legs feel. Let's look at why. As we age, the cartilage that cushions our joints naturally thins. This makes the bones in your knees, hips, and ankles more vulnerable to irritation. At the same time, the immune system becomes more reactive, meaning that any chemical imbalance in the body is more likely to trigger inflammation. Research published in Arthritis Research and Therapy has shown that low-grade inflammation is one of the leading drivers of mobility decline in older adults. Acidic fruits like oranges, grapefruits, pineapples, and even tomatoes, though technically a fruit, can worsen this process. They don't cause inflammation on their own, but the acids combined with natural sugars can create what's known as oxidative stress. This stress activates inflammatory pathways that affect the synovial fluid, the lubricant inside your joints. When that fluid becomes inflamed, you're more likely to feel stiffness, pain, or a sense of heaviness in your legs. Here's what's happening in your body when this occurs. High acidity changes the pH balance in your tissues. Your body works hard to keep blood pH stable, but when it's constantly fighting acid overload, minerals like calcium and magnesium are pulled from bones and muscles to restore balance. Over time, this can weaken the structural support in your joints and reduce the firing efficiency of muscle fibers. That means your legs don't just feel sore, they actually lose some of their strength capacity. Have you ever noticed how after eating a large amount of citrus or drinking too much orange juice, your knees feel stiff or your legs feel heavier during a walk? That's not in your imagination. It's your body signaling that acidity and inflammation are interfering with mobility. Now, does this mean seniors should completely avoid all acidic fruits? Not necessarily. Small amounts can be beneficial, especially when paired with alkalizing foods like leafy greens or when eaten in moderation. The real problem arises when these fruits become daily staples, replacing more supportive foods. A simple tool here is substitution. Instead of starting your morning with grapefruit or pineapple, swap in lower acid fruits like melon, kiwi, or berries. These provide antioxidants without the same inflammatory hit. You can also pair acidic fruits with anti-inflammatory foods like walnuts or leafy greens, which help buffer the acid load. Another strategy, timing matters. If you're going to eat citrus, have it earlier in the day when your body is more active and better able to metabolize acids, rather than at night when recovery and repair should be the priority. Here's the empowering part. Inflammation is not a fixed destiny. Studies have shown that even a 2-week shift toward lower acid, anti inflammatory foods can significantly reduce stiffness and improve joint range of motion. That means by simply being intentional about which fruits you eat, you can reclaim mobility and reduce the drag on your legs. If you're finding this insight helpful, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. We explore science backed strategies like this every week, tools that not only improve health, but also preserve independence, focus, and vitality. If this kind of knowledge is valuable to you, consider joining our community so you never miss these life changing insights. Your legs are your foundation. By keeping inflammation in check, you're not just protecting joints, you're protecting freedom, the ability to walk confidently, climb stairs, or simply enjoy time with family without pain holding you back. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked, yet most damaging, effects of certain fruits, the way they spike blood sugar and quietly undermine muscle strength. When you eat fruit, the natural sugar inside, mainly fructose and glucose, enters your bloodstream. For young people with highly responsive muscles and strong insulin sensitivity, the sugar is quickly shuttled into cells and burned for energy. But as you move into your 60s and 70s, the efficiency of this system drops. Studies from the National Institute on Aging have shown that older adults typically have reduced insulin sensitivity, meaning sugar stays in the bloodstream longer, creating stress on tissues rather than energy for movement. Now, here's why this matters for your legs. Muscles rely on a steady supply of glucose to contract and generate force. But when blood sugar spikes sharply, like after eating a very sweet fruit, such as grapes or ripe bananas, your body responds by flooding the bloodstream with insulin. That surge of insulin doesn't just bring sugar down, it often overshoots, leading to a rapid drop in blood sugar afterward. And what follows? Fatigue, weakness, and sometimes even that shaky feeling in your legs. Have you ever noticed how, after a big piece of fruit or a tall glass of juice, your energy rises for a short while, then suddenly crashes? That crash is your brain and muscles experiencing what's called reactive hypoglycemia, a temporary drop in blood sugar caused by the overcorrection of insulin. For leg muscles, which already have a harder time staying strong with age, this kind of repeated roller coaster can sap endurance and make it harder to build or even maintain muscle. The science goes deeper. Repeated sugar spikes don't just drain energy in the moment, they also damage the mitochondria inside your muscle fibers. These mitochondria are the power plants of your cells, the engines that keep your legs moving. A 2017 study in cell metabolism found that chronic high blood sugar accelerates mitochondrial dysfunction, which directly translates into weaker, slower, and less resilient muscles. In other words, eating certain fruits every day might be quietly shutting down the very engines that keep you walking, climbing stairs, or standing tall. Here's another piece of the puzzle. Excess sugar also increases inflammation in the small blood vessels that supply your legs. Over time, this restricts oxygen and nutrient delivery. Think of it like trying to water your garden through a clogged hose. The flow is weak, and the plants don't thrive. Your muscles are the same way. Without steady blood flow, they fatigue faster and recover slower. So, which fruits are the culprits here? Grapes, ripe bananas, mangoes, and figs are particularly high in fast absorbing sugars. Fruit juices are even worse because they strip away the fiber that slows down sugar absorption. A glass of orange juice, for example, delivers the sugar equivalent of several oranges at once, hitting your system like a tidal wave. The good news is there's a simple tool you can use. If you enjoy sweet fruits, pair them with protein or healthy fat. For example, instead of eating a banana on its own, have half a banana with a handful of almonds. The protein and fat slow down digestion, preventing a sharp blood sugar spike. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows that mixed meals, combining carbs with protein and fat, blunt glucose spikes by as much as 30%. Another practical approach: choose fruits with a lower glycemic load. Berries, apples, and pears are excellent options. They provide antioxidants and fiber without flooding your bloodstream with sugar. They're not just safer, they actively support vascular health, which means better blood flow to your leg muscles. The key takeaway is this: as you age, your body handles sugar differently, and what once felt harmless can now quietly chip away at your strength. By being strategic about the fruits you eat and how you eat them, you can protect your leg muscles from fatigue, preserve mitochondrial function, and maintain the energy you need for independence and vitality. Let me start with a surprising fact. The foods we often think of as universally healthy, especially fruits, can sometimes work against us as we age. For seniors, one of the biggest challenges is not memory loss or even heart health, but something much more immediate: the slow decline of leg strength. Weak legs are one of the strongest predictors of falls, fractures, and even reduced independence later in life. In fact, research from the Journal of Gerontology shows that lower limb strength is directly linked to longevity. The stronger your legs, the more likely you are to live not just longer, but better. Here's the twist: while fruits are packed with vitamins and fiber, some of them are loaded with sugars, acids, and compounds that, when eaten regularly, can quietly sabotage muscle function, blood flow, and even nerve signaling in your legs. It's not about good or bad foods in a black and white sense. It's about the fact that as your body changes with age, your insulin sensitivity decreases, your muscle fibers shrink, and your mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, don't fire as efficiently. The same foods you once thrived on can now accelerate weakness instead of fueling strength. Think of it this way: in your 20s, you could eat nearly anything and still bounce back. By the time you're in your 60s or 70s, the wrong balance of foods doesn't just add a few extra pounds, it can directly sap the strength from your legs by inflaming your joints, spiking your blood sugar, or interfering with nutrient absorption. What this really means is that the fruits you put on your plate can either support strong, stable legs or quietly drain them of power. Today, we're going to look at the 7 worst fruits for seniors when it comes to leg strength. More importantly, I'll walk you through the neuroscience and physiology of why they weaken your body, and I'll give you practical swaps and strategies you can start using right away. By the end of this talk, you'll not only know which fruits to avoid, but also how to build a nutrition strategy that keeps your legs strong, your balance steady, and your independence intact for years to come. One of the most overlooked challenges with fruit isn't just sugar or acidity, it's calories. Many fruits are deceptively high in calories, and when eaten in large portions, they can quietly displace the foods your muscles actually need to stay strong. This is especially important for seniors because the body's metabolism slows with age, meaning you burn fewer calories at rest than you did in your 20s or 30s. If too many of those calories come from low protein, high sugar fruits, the result is gradual muscle fatigue and weakness, particularly in the legs. Here's what the research shows. Older adults experience a natural decline in muscle mass called sarcopenia, losing about 3 to 8% of muscle every decade after the age of 40. One of the strongest protective factors against this decline is adequate protein intake. But here's the problem: if a senior fills up on fruits like dates, figs, mangoes, or dried raisins, Those are calories without meaningful protein. Over time, protein intake drops below the threshold needed to maintain muscle, and the legs, being the largest muscles in the body, are the first to suffer. Think of it like fueling a car. Protein is the high octane fuel that keeps your muscle engine running. Fruit sugar, while quick energy, is more like gasoline mixed with water. It burns fast, but it doesn't sustain power. If most of your calories come from the watery fuel, the engine sputters. That sputter shows up in daily life as fatigue climbing stairs, struggling to rise from a chair, or simply feeling like your legs run out of energy faster than they should. Another issue is portion size. It's easy to eat a handful of dried fruit and think nothing of it, but just a small cup of raisins can carry over 400 calories, and the sugar load of several sodas. That's energy with no protein to support muscle repair. Multiply that by daily habits, and you have a silent drain on strength. Have you noticed how sometimes after a fruit heavy snack, you feel full, but not energized? That's because your muscles aren't receiving the amino acids they need to repair and maintain fibers. Over time, this mismatch creates a cycle where calories are plenty, but strength is lacking. The good news is, this problem is easy to fix. A simple tool to apply is pairing. Instead of eating fruit by itself, combine it with protein rich foods. For example, have apple slices with Greek yogurt, or a few dates with a handful of pumpkin seeds. This way, you're not just getting quick fuel, you're also delivering the raw materials your leg muscles need for repair and growth. Another tool is mindfulness around dried fruits. Fresh fruit, with its water content, is far less calorie dense. Choosing fresh berries over dried cranberries can cut sugar intake by half while providing more fiber and antioxidants. And here's an empowering strategy: prioritize protein first. When planning meals, think about your protein anchor: fish, eggs, beans, or lean meats, and then add fruit as a complement, not the main course. This small shift ensures that your calories are working for your legs, not against them. If this is resonating with you, consider subscribing to this channel. Every week, we dive into science based tools to protect your strength, focus, and independence. Your support helps us bring these insights to more people who need them, and by subscribing, you'll have ongoing access to strategies that truly make a difference in daily life. The key takeaway here is simple: fruit is not the problem, but imbalance is. By being mindful of hidden calories and prioritizing muscle supporting nutrients, you can stop fatigue from creeping into your legs and instead build the kind of strength that keeps you moving freely for decades to come. Potassium is one of those nutrients that almost everyone has heard of. It's essential for healthy blood pressure, proper nerve signaling, and muscle contraction. In fact, your leg muscles depend on potassium every time you take a step, rise from a chair, or climb a staircase. But here's the part that often goes overlooked: too much potassium, especially from certain fruits, can actually disrupt the delicate balance of electrolytes in your body, and that imbalance can leave your legs feeling weak, crampy, or unreliable. Let's break it down. Electrolytes, potassium, sodium, calcium, and magnesium, work together like a team of conductors, keeping the electrical impulses in your muscles firing smoothly. Think of your leg muscles as a symphony. Potassium might play the violin, sodium the drums, calcium the trumpet, and magnesium the piano. If one instrument suddenly dominates the music, the harmony is lost, and the result is chaos. That's what happens when potassium levels rise too high compared to the others. Your muscle contractions become irregular, leading to cramps, fatigue, or even sudden weakness. Research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society highlights that seniors are more vulnerable to this imbalance because kidney function naturally declines with age. Since the kidneys are responsible for clearing excess potassium, eating large amounts of potassium rich fruits like bananas, oranges, cantaloupe, or dried apricots can push levels higher than the body can handle. The result? A condition called hyperkalemia, and one of its earliest warning signs is muscle weakness, often felt first in the legs. Have you ever experienced a sudden Charlie horse in your calf at night, or felt your legs give out unexpectedly after exercise? These are classic signs that electrolytes aren't balanced. What's happening in your brain and body is that nerve cells misfire when the potassium to sodium ratio is off. Your muscles get the wrong signal, or no signal at all, and they can't contract efficiently. Now, it's important to be clear: potassium is not your enemy. In fact, moderate amounts are critical for health. The real issue comes from overconsumption without balance. Many seniors lean heavily on fruit as a healthy snack, not realizing that piling bananas, oranges, and dried fruits into the daily routine can overload the system, especially if kidney function is not optimal. Here's a simple tool to apply variety and pairing. Instead of eating potassium heavy fruits every day, rotate them with lower potassium options like apples, berries, or grapes. And if you enjoy a banana, balance it with a small amount of salty food, such as a slice of cheese or a handful of lightly salted nuts. This restores the sodium potassium balance and prevents cramps and weakness. Another practical step is hydration. Electrolytes need fluid to move effectively. Drinking water with a pinch of sea salt or a sugar free electrolyte solution can help keep levels in harmony. Research from Nutrients Journal shows that proper hydration improves muscle endurance and reduces the frequency of cramps in older adults. The empowering takeaway is this: strong legs aren't just about muscle mass, they're about electrical balance. Your nerves and muscles are constantly communicating through tiny electrical currents, and electrolytes are the messengers. By being intentional about your fruit choices and maintaining variety, you're not just avoiding cramps, you're ensuring that every step you take is supported by a well coordinated symphony inside your body. So the next time you reach for fruit, think about balance. Too much of even a good thing can work against you, but the right mix keeps your legs steady, powerful, and dependable. If there's one takeaway from everything we've covered, it's this: fruit is not the enemy, but not all fruit works in your favor as you age. Your body is different at 60 than it was at 20. Blood sugar regulation, joint health, mineral balance, and even gut function operate on a more delicate system. That's why certain fruits, while healthy in other contexts, can quietly undermine the very strength and stability you're trying to protect. Think about what we've explored. Fruits that hit your bloodstream with a surge of glucose can leave your muscles starved of steady energy, pushing you toward fatigue instead of stamina. Highly acidic fruits may trigger subtle inflammation that makes joints stiff and weak. Too much potassium from concentrated fruit intake can push electrolytes out of balance, leading to cramps that rob you of your stride. And those fruits rich in oxalates, they may seem harmless, but by blocking calcium and magnesium absorption, They interfere with the minerals your legs depend on for power and coordination. Even the sugar overload that disrupts your gut microbiome matters because the gut, brain, and muscle system are all deeply connected. But here's the key: awareness doesn't mean restriction, it means choice. You don't need to cut fruit out of your diet. You need to approach it with precision. That might look like pairing sweeter fruits with a protein source so blood sugar stays steady, or choosing fruits lower in acid on days when joint pain is flaring, or rotating what you eat so your mineral balance stays intact. These are not massive lifestyle overhauls. They're small corrections, small levers you can pull daily that compound into better strength and resilience over time. And that's the real goal. This isn't about dieting or perfection. It's about preserving your independence, your ability to move with confidence, and the kind of leg strength that lets you keep doing what you love, whether that's walking, climbing stairs, gardening, or simply keeping up with the people you care about. So the next time you're in the produce aisle, pause for a moment. Look at the fruit not just as something sweet and refreshing, but as fuel for your future mobility. Ask yourself, will this choice support or subtract from the strength I want in my legs tomorrow? When you start to view fruit through that lens, your diet becomes a tool for empowerment. Because in the end, strong legs don't come from avoiding food. They come from eating intelligently, with the awareness of how each bite shapes your energy, your stability, and your ability to keep moving forward, literally. There's one more hidden way certain fruits can sabotage your leg strength, and it starts in a place most people don't connect to muscles at all: the gut. Your digestive system isn't just a food processing machine, it's a living ecosystem, home to trillions of bacteria that influence nearly every aspect of your health. These microbes don't just affect digestion, they also communicate directly with your brain and muscles through what's called the gut brain axis. When this system is in balance, you feel energized, clear, and strong. But when it's disrupted, especially by too much fruit sugar, the results can be surprising: fatigue, poor recovery, and weaker legs. Here's what happens: fruits high in fructose, like mangoes, grapes, or dried figs, deliver a lot of sugar quickly into the gut. If there's more sugar than your small intestine can absorb, it passes into the large intestine where bacteria ferment it. This fermentation creates gas and bloating, but more importantly, it alters the microbial balance. Research published in Nature Reviews Gastroenterology and Hepatology has shown that excess fructose intake disrupts healthy gut bacteria and increases the production of inflammatory compounds. That inflammation doesn't stay in the gut, it travels through the bloodstream, reaching muscles and joints. For your legs, that means longer recovery after activity, more soreness, and less efficient energy production. In simple terms, your muscles are trying to do their job while your immune system is busy fighting an unnecessary battle. Have you ever eaten a fruit heavy snack and later felt sluggish, as if your energy just drained away? That isn't just a sugar crash. It's your gut brain axis sending fatigue signals because the microbiome is out of balance. And when the gut is unhappy, the muscles are usually next in line to feel the impact. Another factor here is nutrient absorption. An imbalanced microbiome doesn't extract vitamins and minerals as efficiently from food. That means less magnesium, less vitamin D, and fewer B vitamins, all of which are essential for leg strength and energy metabolism. Over time, this can create a quiet but steady drain on your vitality. The empowering news is that you can reset this system. A simple tool is to limit high fructose fruits and instead choose fiber rich, lower sugar options like apples, pears, and berries. Fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria, helping them thrive while keeping harmful species in check. Another tool is timing. Rather than snacking on fruit throughout the day, consolidate your intake into meals where the sugar is buffered by protein, fat, and fiber from other foods. This slows fermentation and stabilizes blood sugar. Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, also support a balanced gut microbiome. Adding even small amounts daily can improve gut brain communication, which translates into steadier energy and stronger muscle performance. Hydration plays a role too. Bacteria produce beneficial compounds called short chain fatty acids when they ferment fiber, but these reactions work best when the body is well hydrated. Consistent water intake supports both digestion and muscle efficiency. The bigger picture here is simple but powerful. Your legs aren't just powered by what happens in your muscles, they're also powered by what happens in your gut. By keeping sugar intake balanced and supporting a healthy microbiome, you create a ripple effect that strengthens not just digestion, but also movement, endurance, and recovery. Your gut is constantly talking to your brain, and your brain directs your muscles. Protect that communication line, and you'll notice the difference not just in how your legs feel today, but in how long they keep you moving independently into the years ahead. There's another hidden challenge in certain fruits that often flies under the radar: oxalates. These are natural compounds found in a variety of plant foods. In small amounts, they're harmless, but when consumed in excess, especially from fruits high in oxalates, they can interfere with the absorption of key minerals like calcium and magnesium. And those two minerals are absolutely essential for strong bones, efficient nerve signaling, and proper muscle contractions in your legs. Let's break down how this works. Calcium is the mineral that gives your bones density and resilience. Magnesium, on the other hand, is the mineral that helps relax muscles after they contract and keeps nerve signals firing smoothly. When oxalates bind to these minerals, they form crystals that can't be absorbed by the gut. That means even if you're eating calcium or magnesium from other foods, your body can't access it. The result is a slow erosion of bone strength and a decline in muscular performance. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition has shown that diets high in oxalates reduce calcium absorption by up to 50%. For seniors, this is particularly concerning because bone density naturally declines with age, and reduced mineral absorption only accelerates the process. Weak bones and sluggish muscles are a recipe for falls and fractures, exactly what we want to prevent. Fruits, particularly high in oxalates, include star fruit, kiwi fruit, blackberries, and figs. While these might look harmless in a fruit bowl, regular and heavy consumption can contribute to mineral depletion. Star fruit is especially concerning because its oxalate levels are so high that it has been linked to kidney issues in susceptible individuals. Now, here's what's happening in your muscles when oxalates block minerals. Calcium ions are what trigger your leg muscles to contract. Every time you take a step, calcium rushes into muscle fibers to spark the movement. Magnesium then steps in to help the fibers relax. Without enough of either, contractions become weak, uncoordinated, or cramp prone. That's why low mineral availability often shows up first as shaky legs, cramping calves, or difficulty maintaining balance. Have you ever felt like your legs are buzzing with tension or struggling to fully relax after exertion? That's often the effect of low magnesium availability. If you've experienced bone aches or unusual weakness, despite eating a decent diet, oxalates could be part of the picture. The good news is there are practical ways to work around this. A simple tool is pairing high oxalate fruits with calcium rich foods. For instance, if you enjoy berries, combine them with yogurt. The calcium in the yogurt helps offset the oxalate effect, ensuring more of the mineral is absorbed. Another approach is variety. Instead of eating the same high oxalate fruits every day, rotate them with low oxalate options like apples, pears, or melons. These fruits provide hydration and nutrients without robbing your body of minerals. Hydration also plays a role here. Drinking enough water helps flush out oxalate crystals before they build up in the kidneys or tissues. Aiming for steady hydration throughout the day rather than gulping large amounts at once keeps your body in balance. The empowering message here is this: you don't need to fear oxalates, but you do need to respect their impact. By making small, intentional changes in how you choose and pair fruits, you can protect the minerals that keep your bones dense, your nerves sharp, and your leg muscles firing with precision. Every step you take depends on these minerals. Protecting their availability is not just about avoiding weakness, it's about preserving the freedom to move, explore, and live independently with confidence.